Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me here at Ghost Behind the Door, where I share true ghost stories. True scary stories, anything paranormal, anything weird or creepy. I'll share my own experiences, my friends, people that I know, and yours, if you choose to send in your story, which I really hope that you do. Whether it's yours or someone else's, it doesn't matter. I'll leave the information in the description below. One of the stories that I wanted to tell you today actually happened to me this weekend. My family. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter and my wife. We went camping up in a canyon in the desert in Utah. And everything was awesome. It was a great experience at first where it was just fun. We parked, we got our camping spot ready, put up our tent, roasted some hot dogs, had a really good time, played some games with our daughter. It was just a really good evening. And everything was going awesome. But unfortunately my daughter, she started to get a runny nose and her ears started to hurt as well. And so we were thinking she's either teething or she had an ear infection. One of the two. And so she wasn't sleeping very well. She started crying in the middle of the night around 12 o'clock, and we got up and tried to help her to get comfortable, help her to calm down. There weren't any campers around us, so we weren't worried about waking anybody up or anything like that, but we just wanted her to be able to rest well. I think the reason she couldn't sleep is because like the phlegm in her throat and in her sinuses was kind of starting to build up. So we were up at 12. We tried to console her and help her to feel better, but there wasn't really much that we could do for her. And my wife suggested that we take her to the car and put her in her car seat so that she can sit up, and hopefully that'll help the phlegm and everything go through, and that she'll be able to breathe better and she'll be able to get a little bit of sleep. And so that's what we did. And obviously in the woods and in a canyon, it's kind of freaky in a car because you can't really see too far out of the car, but you can see in the whole 360. And so we were sitting there, I was kind of just looking around, and everything was fine. But she was able to calm down a bit, and so I turned to my wife and I was like, hey, should we try to go into the tent so that we can see if we can lay down and get some sleep? Because she was doing really well. She agreed, and we decided to go and try to get some sleep in the tent. And so that's what we did. And one thing that we do with my daughter, we don't really like to let her watch TV or look at phones or anything, but one thing she really likes to do is watch home videos. That's one thing that we do, kind of allow for her to watch. I mean, she's only 1.5, but she loves home videos. She loves to see herself, which is really funny. But so we were watching, but at this point it was probably like 1:30 in the morning, and we were just laying there quiet, kind of giggling, watching the home videos and just having a good time, you know. We weren't too loud, but we weren't really trying to be quiet necessarily, laughing at the videos and just having a good time. And she was super happy to lay down there and watch it with us. And it was quiet, obviously, because there was no one around, and it got to kind of a quieter part, and we were just watching, and all of a sudden, like 10 yards farthest away, we hear this huge, like, I don't know what to call it, a bellow or a grunt, like a kind of like that. But it was so loud, like I don't even know what the heck it was, but it was so loud, and it did it twice. It was like like that, and I'm not joking, like it was crazy. And my wife, I look at my wife and she looks at me and we're just like, what the heck? And my daughter, I think she could feel our fear, because we kind of turned to her and we're like, shh, and she laid down and she was totally quiet. which she wasn't really doing very well at being quiet at the time. And so I think she could feel our fear as we told her to shush and to kind of lay down. And we just, I mean, our senses are super heightened, our adrenaline's rushing, like, what the heck is out there? And so we kind of just look at each other and just stay quiet and listen. So after the 2 initial grunts or bellows, we hear it more, and it's just breathing hard and grunting and just getting closer to our tent. It's going like, and it was big. Like, it was this deep voice. I don't know if you call that a voice, I don't know, but it was this deep sound, heavy breathing. It did not sound happy whatsoever. Whatever it was, it sounded mad, and it sounded angry, and it was coming closer to our tent. And my wife, I turned to my wife, I'm like, do you want me to look and see what it was? And I didn't plan to necessarily go out of the tent, but my wife and I, we leave a crack at the top of the tent, not that you can see out, but enough to let air in. And so I was planning on looking through there, shining on my flashlight to see what the heck it was, because like, I'm very protective of my family, and no matter how scared I was ready to do something you know, whatever that would have been, I don't know. But my wife's like, no. She kind of just shushes me. She's like, no, just be quiet, and hopefully it'll go away. And so we're extremely quiet, just listening to it get closer and closer. And soon it's probably not even like 3 feet from our tent, and it's just grunting and bellowing and breathing hard, just and it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And we were just staring at each other. I had my death grip on I had the flashlight turned off in one hand. And one thing about me, I always make sure my wife has pepper spray where she goes. I'm very protective, like I said. If anything were to happen to her, I'd be devastated. And so I had her pepper spray in my other hand, and I was ready to, spray whatever it was, even though it probably just made it mad. But I had those in my hands, and I was just like tensed up, just ready to, I don't know, I don't even know. I was just ready to do something. And it kind of just, you can hear it going around the tent, just breathing and bellowing and angry. And eventually, after it felt like forever, it angrily leaves. And a few minutes later, we hear another big grunt or bellow farther down the dirt path that we were on, just and that's how we knew it had gone away. And looking back on it, the weirdest part about the whole experience, like, we're in the woods, there's animals, that's true. But the weirdest thing about that whole experience was that I couldn't hear any footprints, paw prints, or shuffling of walking, of paws, of hooves, of anything. It literally sounded like, and our senses, my senses were super heightened because of because of how scared I was, and there was no noise of shuffling of feet, of moving around or anything. It literally sounded like it was just floating. It floated towards us, and it floated away. Like, the only thing I could hear, the only thing was the grunting and the breathing. And I have no idea what it was. My wife and I have talked about it. We have no clue. It was an extremely crazy, strange, creepy, scary experience. And I was looking stuff up, wondering what the heck it could be that made that kind of noise and didn't make a noise as it moved around. And there's something called Skinwalkers, which are Native American folklore, where it's kind of like a witch or something like that, where they can take the shape of another animal or person. Something that I read about them, like I don't know a ton, but what I read about them is that they feed off of fear, and they don't necessarily kill, but they feed off of fear. And I mean, maybe that's what it was, Skinwalker, something that was feeding off of our fear, because there was a lot of fear going on, and it was just the weirdest experience. And that's, I don't know. I mean, we're in the deserts of Utah, in a more green part in a canyon, but still, I mean, there's a lot of Native Americans, a lot of Native American tribes that were in Utah, and it's just a crazy, crazy experience. And I don't know the answer, and I don't know if I ever will. Whatever the heck it was, I'm glad it didn't, like, I'm glad it left. And my wife and I, after we heard it leave, we packed up. Well, we didn't even pack up. We left. We got our baby in the car and we left. And we came back the next morning and we picked up our stuff and then we left again. And so it was a weird experience. If you'd like to, please comment what you think it could have been, and if you've ever had an experience like this, something that sounded like an animal, an angry big animal that grunts and growls and breathes hard, that doesn't make any noise. There's gravel. It was a gravel area, a lot of rocks around, a lot of sticks that could have broken, but there was nothing. And we were out in the middle of nowhere. There's no one around us. We would have heard it walking, I feel like. So yeah, just leave a comment and let me know if you've ever had an experience like that, or what you think it might have been. Alright, well, thank you so much for joining me here at Ghost Behind the Door. Please, I would love to hear you guys' stories. In the description, I'll leave how you can send those to me, whether through email or voicemail. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And until next time, have a good one.